Coast DNA.
Yeah,
We
thanks for
have
having me.
Steve Luxton. You reached out to me originally. It seemed like a lifetime ago. I wanted to, I wanted to throw that in there because you were about to release your EP,
Yes,
and it has since been released, and it's called A Lifetime Ago. So that's 3 tracks on that.
3-track EP. Yeah, they were originally demos that I went into the studio just to play live off the floor with some friends.
Hmm.
This was right before the October before the pandemic hit, and they're just kind of sketching them out to maybe use them on a full length at some point. And then the pandemic happened, and I moved across the country, and I don't really play with those folks anymore that are like
Hmm.
really good friends of mine. And it seemed to be kind of like a fleeting moment in time that I won't really get back, and like it's from another lifetime. And so I was like, oh, I'll release these. It was special enough for me to have that and share it. So
Are you originally from this area or originally from another region?
I'm originally from all over Southern Ontario. So
Okay.
my wife is from Mabu, Cape Breton,
Hmm.
the southwestern side of Cape Breton Island. And yeah, I met her 12, 11 years ago or so. I was on tour with a band. I came to Halifax in a broken down motorhome, and I met her. We were just friends. Motorhome broke down, and I stuck around in Halifax for a bit, and the rest is history.
Oh, so what was that band at the time?
So we were a group called Sunday Sounds Good. We were just kids with high aspirations. We did like pop acoustic duo stuff. Put an hour of original music. We had a little CD that we thought we were gonna get famous from, and but then we played a whole bunch of cover music too. So we got on okay at pubs and parties and stuff.
And now that you are living here in Nova Scotia, you're a full East Coaster now.
Full
I
East Coaster now, yeah.
I noticed too. Do you work at the community college?
Yeah, I'm an instructor for the community college in the music arts program in Cape Breton. It's pretty cool. I get an opportunity to share some of my experience in the recording studio. And I studied music performance at Humber College in Toronto, which was a pretty rigorous program, and it taught me lots, and I get to share some of that knowledge with my students as well.
And a lot of guests of the show come out of those programs. It's the Nova Scotia Community College music programs, like in general, like all over the region, and the various programs. It seems like I end up interviewing like every other person is like, yeah, I just graduated from, or yeah, I work over at, and you
It's
hear it all the
a
time.
it's an amazing program for the music industry, for the independent artist music industry in Nova Scotia.
Hmm.
It does a really good job of equipping young artists with the tools. Yeah, well, actually, artists of all ages with the tools that they need to navigate the ever-changing climate of the industry. The Ivany campus in Dartmouth has kind of set the archetype for what it's trying to do, and they've created this whole sub music scene in the Halifax area from graduates, like you're saying, and then
Hmm.
we're trying to accomplish something similar up here in Cape Breton, which is super fun and inspiring to be a part of.
And now I probably should have researched this before asking it while we're recording, but I'm kind of making an assumption based on this conversation so far. Are you involved at all with the CBMIC?
So I'm a member of CBMIC.
Yeah.
I try and support all the music organizations that I can because they do a great job of supporting us, musicians, and provide resources for those that might not have them, and provide gigs and opportunities and just networking. Um, there are opportunities that we get to collaborate with CBMIC on different events, which is great. It's good for the students as well to see.
Hmm.
Yeah, I personally I'm not in CBMIC right now as like a director or anything or
Yeah.
a member, just another musician paying the subscription and enjoying the benefits.
Yeah, and it's a great support for the region, and it's not just they're not just supporting Cape Breton, like it's specifically focused on Cape Breton, but I'm actually taking one of the courses that they're sponsoring right now.
Yeah, they've got some
So,
great courses, and it's I don't think they're necessarily just for Cape Bretoners. Their
mhm.
MO is just their music organization trying to connect Cape Breton music industry with the national music scene at
Yeah,
large, provincial music scene. They're like a regional based, but there, I know other artists that aren't living in Cape Breton that have CBMIC memberships that get some benefits from being part of them. So
And now another thing too, when I was doing a little bit of my own research outside of the information that you sent me, you've collaborated with a few people over the years in our region as well. I didn't bother making a list of names or anything like that. One that jumped out at me right away was Abby Mandalore.
Mullendore, yeah, Mullendore.
Yeah.
So she's a fantastic singer. Her and I, we play together as much as we can. We're both
Mhm.
very busy. Like she's touring with the classic albums live, and I'm teaching. We just had a baby 7 months ago, my wife and I, and that's keeping me busy. And
Yeah.
I'm currently working on the next thing, on another album for myself as well, like writing and putting the final production plan in place. But anytime we get a chance to play, it's normally like, hey, Steve, are you available in 2 days from now? Here's an hour or two of music, and then we don't really we don't always get a rehearsal, but when we get together, we just know the music's going to work. It's we have a good chemistry in that respect. So
And so you mentioned like working towards like a full album.
yeah.
So you have some performances coming up. There's a few that you have scheduled. So are people going to be hearing? I imagine for a full set, it's not just 3 songs.
No, for sure. So there's some old music that I never released, some stuff that originally felt too, um, I don't want to say too personal and make it sound. It's not necessarily like emotional music, but it's just maybe the story that was connected to it was too personal at the time
Mhm.
to release it, and so I'm gonna play some of that music. I'm going to play some new stuff as well. Some stuff I've played live on a couple of radio stations already. One or two of the songs. And then there's like 3 or 4 songs that not many people, unless you're in the band or came to the EP release show, have heard, which is gonna be really fun. It's there's one in particular that I really like, and it always gets the crowd going.
Awesome. And maybe do you want to do a quick rundown of some of the shows that have already been announced, just for anyone that wants to go catch some of those?
Yeah, for sure. So we're playing this Saturday at the Bitten Moon in Glace Bay. So that's going to be a great show. We're paired up with a local band called Melodies. They're just like a stacked like super group in the Sydney area of music veterans that play in multiple bands right now and have played in other bands, and they're just really cool. I kind of call them like the Cape Breton Tragically Hip, although they're much more than that. That's just I said it to them as a joke. Um, and then we're also playing June 1st at the Carlton's, my Carlton debut, first time getting a
Awesome.
Carlton. Really excited for that. We're playing with a band of friends from the Eastern Passageway called Foggy Road. I don't know if you've heard of those guys. They're all really talented, lots of singers, lots of like I know one of the main writers is really inspired by Blue Rodeo, but he still does his own kind of more rock and roll thing as well.
They had something in one of the East Coast charts not too long ago, maybe a
It,
couple months ago.
I forget the name of the song, but yeah, they were out there.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's definitely them, especially with the Blue Rodeo reference. So, I do remember the name, but I have not had the chance to meet them yet, so that's exciting.
they're really cool. Come to the Carlton if it's not too far of a drive.
Yeah, it's enough of a drive, but it might be worth it. So
I
I
think
do
it
like a listening room experience is different than what I'm typically going to. So it is nice. Even with the drive, you drive and then you sit for a while and then you drive back. So it's not like super killer.
Yeah, I've all like some of my favorite concerts I've seen were at the Carlton. So I'm really excited to join the that group of musicians, that have
Yeah.
spent time on that stage. So I'm really excited for that. So the Carlton, that's on Thursday, June 1st. And then I'm on June 2nd, I'm driving all the way back to Cape Breton to play a songwriter circle with couple really good friends of mine. One you already mentioned, Abby Molendor.
Mhm.
Uh, she'll be singing there. I'll be playing some guitar with her. I'll sing some of my own songs, and then Steve McIntyre, a good friend and really talented songwriter, just an all-around great guy. He'll be there as well, singing some of his songs. And Kevin Woody Woodburn, who is from Ontario, but he's got some roots in Inverness County, and he's going to be up there singing some of his songs too. It'll be
Yeah,
really
Steve
good.
just turned me on to Woody there recently.
What a voice!
And
He's got a really powerful voice.
actually Steve was just on a recent episode here too, and we were hanging out with him at ECMAs.
Oh yeah.
So you're in with some good people for sure there.
Yeah, I'm a lucky guy to know such great people, that's for sure.
And your shoebox show.
Shoebox, that is on June 3rd. That's another one I'm super excited for. I love the room there. I love the vibe. Yeah, so that's on June 3rd. And we're playing with a really cool band from New Brunswick called Before the Dinosaur.
Yes, I'm a fan.
Yeah,
I think they played there once before, maybe, and I missed it. I might have been out of town.
oh yeah, you don't want to miss this one. I mean, I'm
No.
Carlton, but like if the shoebox is closer, that's probably a good option too.
Oh, actually, shoebox is I can walk to, so that's the
Amazing.
difference in the two for me for the venues.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you don't see me at the Carlton, you're definitely gonna see me popping into shoebox there for sure. Be exciting, especially to catch another band with you as well. So
Yeah, it's going to be a great night there. They seem like a really killer band. I haven't met them yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. And they're doing some really cool things behind the scenes. I've been reading some articles with them and the work they're doing to try and eliminate obstacles for those that might have like physical disabilities or any other kind of barriers to being successful in the music industry, trying to make it a more inclusive environment for everybody.
awesome.
Yeah, so they're doing some really cool things beyond their music, which is already pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to meet them.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So you've got a packed lineup for the next few weeks going into the summer. Are you going to be getting into recording a little bit, or you're
Yeah,
just tour?
I'm gonna probably spend most of my time finishing writing and recording. I've got a limited number of dates on the calendar that I'm gonna be playing. Most of them are already booked and set in stone, but I've got a couple 2 week blackout periods where I'm just focusing on the next the full length album. Just to you got to kind of set aside the time and just you got to tell yourself that's when you're doing it, otherwise it just won't get done. It's
Oh
tough to
yeah.
find the time.
So your sound from the three songs from the EP, you do have kind of that blues rock kind of a root to the sound, but there is like a little bit of a different vibe. And I know in your bio you mentioned it being a cross between like the kind of harder folk and some alternative sounds. So is that vibe something that you picked up from being like in the Southern Ontario area, or is it just a personal preference from your own listening styles?
It's tough to say. I feel like most artists, I'm pretty well just like a carbon copy of like all of the different experiences I've had in life. And thankfully, and like it's a blessing and a curse, I've spent a lot of time moving from place to place. Like
Hmm.
when I was a kid, I moved like 15 times before I started high school. So I was always experiencing new things, meeting new people. And then, so I was always open to it as an adult as well, or a young adult.
Hmm.
And I got into through meeting my wife, who's a Cape Breton trad fiddler. I got into more of like a traditional old time fiddle and Celtic inspired style of like folk music, which I'm still very much into. And then I studied jazz at Humber College, which kind of took the roof off the top of my head,
Yeah.
exploded it, and yeah. Anyways, it was a humbling experience, but it definitely eliminated some of the boundaries that I thought I was confined to. And then I've always just been a fan of good old classic rock and roll. Like I love like early Matt Mays with El Torpedo
Yeah.
and Joel Plaskett Emergency. Like I've always had those records like close to my record player or CD player. And yeah, so there's so much going on there. The next thing that I'm working on is a couple songs that lean into that rock and roll
Hmm.
inspiration a little bit. But I've been also moving towards, you listen to the Bahamas at all?
I probably a couple songs here and there, but not extensively. I'm definitely aware of them.
They're a fantastic kind of like soul roots groove. Like they have some roots instrumentation. He's a fantastic writer and just like there's a lot of killing grooves and a really tight pocket. And I leaning into that a little bit too, like that inspiration. He does some really cool things that I would love to try and capture even like 10% of in my next release.
There seemed to be a lot of traction because that was an artist that was trying to perform live when we were back and forth with lockdowns, and there was a bunch of postponements and stuff. And I remember there being a lot of hype around some show that kept getting moved. I don't know
Yeah,
if it ultimately ever even happened, so that's how I'd be familiar.
He is, I believe, originally from Toronto, but his home base is in Halifax
Oh,
now.
okay. Yeah, I
He's
thought he was another transplant like yourself.
he's a great producer as well. Like he's produced a couple of really awesome records, and just he's got a sound. And I'm really inspired by the music that Joey Landreth. He's a fella from Winnipeg. Him and his
Okay.
brother Rose Landreth just picked up a Juno this year for Roots Album of the Year. Highly recommend checking that out if you haven't heard of them. But
Awesome.
really soulful, inspired, rootsy kind of blues, pop rock music. I can't even describe it. It's cool though.
Well, that's becoming increasingly the norm now for people putting out new content is the genres, besides people rejecting genres, they they've blurred so much that it really is hard. You can't pigeonhole anybody, especially if you're putting together a full set or an album. You're probably going to be all over the board at some point.
And I think that's part of a product of just the way we consume music now. Like we don't just like we're not forced to just listen to one radio station. We're not forced just to listen to one album and then move on. It's like all these playlists with these amalgamations of artists that have some kind of algorithm related elements or just some kind of commercial agenda related, like one record label pushing them all. Like uh, we don't really consume just one thing anymore. It's kind of
Hmm.
like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet of just everything that you could ever want. So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I can see why people are starting to blur the lines, so to speak.
And I see the sweet setup that you have in the background there too. So there you have some different instruments hanging up there as well. So is that some of your lady bleeding into the room, or is that you're experimenting with some different things?
So those are all mine. If I showed you the to my left, it's a kind of a mess. So I'll spare you that view. But there's like a couple racks of guitars as well. I'm primarily a guitar player. I sing obviously,
Hmm.
uh, but anything with strings I try and dabble on. Like I'm okay at the mandolin. That would be definitely her influence. Trying to keep up with her on the fiddle. And then I got a mandocello. I was playing classical music with a fellow in Halifax who had a mandocello, and I just fell in love with that like really rich sound. And then a ukulele, just you gotta have a ukulele for the beach, and my daughter is gonna play it. She already is like fascinated by it.
Yeah, I've been collecting instruments, even though I'm not playing them. I've been collecting them for my daughter, and she's been picking away. There's a keyboard right here, and there's a ukulele right there.
That's
There's a
awesome.
actually there's a cajon over here now, and there's an electric guitar over in the corner. So at some point, I need to expand this apartment studio so I can have some small performances in here. We've had a couple, but like I
Like tiny
said,
desk style, eh?
yeah, I think it's doable.
Oh,
So
for sure. You could do
we'll
it
have to sit down
anywhere,
and
really.
yeah, it's just
Cozy.
motivation and the right people that are willing to play along, and you're all good to go. So where if people want to follow you online to keep up with what's happening and your shows coming up beyond June and hopefully a new album, where should they look for you for that type of thing? Is it just through your website, or do you really favor a social media platform?
So I think the best way to keep up right now would be my Facebook page. I have a music Facebook page, just Steve Luxton,
Hmm.
uh, Luxton. And I would say that's where most of my content's going to be placed. Bandcamp is another really good one.
Okay.
If you follow me on Bandcamp, you'll get automatic updates whenever I announce a new release for pre-order and merch. I'm working on some merch right now, and yeah, that'll be the best way to keep up with that side of things. And then Instagram as well. I have that pretty closely linked to my Facebook. I'm in the process of redesigning my website, so
Oh, okay.
the it's a long process or it's
Yeah.
progressing for me anyways. But yeah, so Facebook, Instagram, just Steve Luxon, you should be able to find me. And then Bandcamp, those are the three main ones.
And so Bandcamp, the following people I got a little slack with like the last couple months because I've been doing so many of these. I'm not playing with the app as much, but I will say for anyone listening, if you download the app and you're following people, like the notifications are not super cumbersome. But it's like little surprise. Oh, I didn't know they were even working on something, and here's a new single or here's an EP, and it is a great way to keep up to date with independent artists, especially.
It's the best way to support an artist too. I've been finding it's like Bandcamp Friday, where they get to
Yeah,
keep all the proceeds or most of them, depending on the like PayPal's cut or whatever. But there's in the music industry, there's a lot of people that have their hands on the product that your
yeah.
musicians are selling, and anytime that you can support them directly, like through Bandcamp, it's such a beautiful thing. It's great for them to do it, and such a nice community. Like there's so many, you can explore so many different artists that you've never even heard of just by going in there and finding, excuse me, related artists. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a even better rabbit hole than going down through. And this is on a YouTube channel, and it's an even better rabbit hole than going down through YouTube. I find like you can really get lost. Oh, I didn't know about them, and you can search different things up. It's yeah, I've got lost in there a couple days.
Yeah, it's, and you can really dive into like the lyrics and like the backstory of songs. Like there's a lot of personal elements that you can connect with on Bandcamp.
And now going back to when you originally reached out to me and the EP release, imagine the EP is available on Bandcamp. Is there a physical version of it?
No physical version right now. Because of the nature of it, it wasn't something that I was originally going to release. I didn't think pressing it to like a hard copy was super important. There might be, without saying too much, there might be like a special edition one getting released at some point that might have a couple bonus acoustic demos on it that preleads to a full-length album.
Awesome.
I will keep you in the loop as that progresses as well.
Yeah, please, we'll plug it for you. And for anyone watching along here, make sure that you go and follow along on Bandcamp and the social media accounts so that you can keep up to date with that for sure. And I'm probably going to see you in the very near future based on those couple dates that you shared with us.
Yeah, that'll be great. It'd be awesome to see you out.
And as we end this episode, I do know that you shared a copy of the album with me. Would you like to share one of those 3 tracks with our viewers and we'll play out?
For sure, yeah. That'd be great.
Which song would you prefer out of those 3?
Do you have a favorite on there?
I'm tempted. I was actually just going over it in between interviews here today, and I was thinking I almost want to put all 3 of them on there because I just kept cycling through it.
Well,
I really couldn't pick one out of the 3. I was left with that whole dilemma.
fair enough. Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm flattered, really. I think maybe Brother. I think if you're gonna pick one, Brother. So track 2. It's a really personal song for me. It's wrote it for a family member who's no longer with me, and just talking about a struggle they had, and kind of hoping they would come back from the struggle. So it would be it's a meaningful one for me. It'd be great to share it.
Great. All right. Well, listen to this as we play out, and there'll be links in the description below so people can follow Steve along online. And I'll throw in a link for the tickets for Shoebox. I'll see if the Carlton ones are available online now too, and throw a link in there for that as well.
That's great. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Thank you. And we'll catch up in the near future.
Yeah. I look forward to it.
All right. Thanks again. Bye.
From here, nothing around is free. You can rent the air you breathe, just can't take it when you leave. It's now yours, you see, not meant for you or me. So let it be. It's a long fall down from that highest point, but there's no stairs for me. On the way up to the top, you don't think much of the drop, but now it's all we see. Not even doubt comes free. So let me be. It's a long walk to freedom from here. Nothing around is free.